When it comes to working with large language models and AI, we all know that data is everything. We need clean data, we need structured data, because that's what's ultimately going to help us leverage AI to hopefully grow our companies. But I've been talking about for a very long time. There's a source of legit gold that your company is sitting on that you're probably doing nothing with because it's not a spreadsheet. It's not something structured that you would feed into a large language model. Normally, it's conversations, it's meetings, phone calls, jumping on with other people, maybe webinars, anything, right? But when we are talking and when we are engaging with others, there's so much valuable insights that come out of that we should be capturing, collecting, cleaning, and using in whatever AI model that you are leveraging at your company. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and just how we can use AI to turn those conversations into revenue. And we're going to be getting a guide from a leader doing it at a global scale. So I'm excited for today's show. I hope you are too. Welcome to Everyday AI. My name is Jordan Wilson. If you're new here, we do this thing every dang day, at least Monday through Friday, bringing you an unedited, unscripted look at the realest in AI with a daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter. So if it's your first time, welcome. It starts here. But if you want to take it to the next level, make sure you go to our website at youreverydayai.com. There, we're going to recap the highlights from today's show, as well as keeping you up to date with all of the other AI news. So I'm excited for today's conversation. Enough of me chit-chatting. Let's bring on someone that's been doing this for a long time and really knows how to take and extract the value of our conversations and better use that with AI. So live stream audience, if you could help me welcome to the show, Jim Palmer. He is the Chief AI Officer at Dialpad. Jim, thank you so much for joining the Everyday AI Show.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for the invite. One quick comment. You're going to have to start working weekends because the way that AI is accelerating, it's hard to keep up with, but it's so exciting.
It's true. Yeah. Every weekday AI just didn't really roll off the tongue quite the same as everyday AI. But, I'm obviously very familiar with Dialpad, but maybe for those of our audience that aren't, tell everyone a little bit about what it is that you all do.
Dialpad is an AI-powered communications platform. We have all of the different types of channels and tools and essentially platform for our customers to communicate with their customers. It's the business-to-business use cases, business-to-consumer use cases. And we try to make this as seamless and as easy to use and navigate and grow and scale with your business to better communicate with your customers, better understand your customers. And we've been at it for quite some time. I think we just hit our 15-year anniversary. And we've also got a lovely slogan here, first in AI, best in agentic, and first in AI in the sense that we acquired actually the company that I co-founded and started a great many years ago, almost 11 years ago. But we had been acquired by Dialpad 7 years ago to directly integrate AI, state-of-the-art AI at the time. And I will admit that it's grown and changed and evolved a considerable amount since then. But it's been a huge investment for Dialpad for a great many years to have that be basically seamless AI and being able to bring seamless insights to help our customers better communicate.
Obviously the generative AI kind of boom of large language models over the past couple of years has kind of changed everyone's viewpoint on who should be using AI or how we should be using AI. Obviously at Dialpad, you're very tuned into, conversations, at least on the front end. You mentioned the agentic side. But talk a little bit, how has the landscape changed in your view over the last couple of years?
It's changing hour by hour, minute by minute. It just keeps accelerating. And I remember even 10 years ago lamenting at what was coming through, even just with academia and the papers, the PhDs, postdoctoral, all the advancements were moving faster than anyone, even a small team, could really keep up with. It was amazing. And then now I can't even tell you the multitude of how much more it's advanced, but a couple of really big shifts happen and in a very short period of time. And I'd liken it to, with the advent of large language models, there was a huge push 2-3 years ago that basically showed the world what's actually possible. If you invest the right amount of capital, the right amount of data, the right amount of compute to be able to generate an LLM that is capable of things that there might have been a few folks in academia that might have said this might be possible, but we haven't seen it before. So there was just a huge shift ultimately. And what had been building up all the way up until that time, about 3 years ago, and is that we're starting to get integration for all of the data to go into large language models, right? And now there's a lot of advancements on top of that, not just language, as in like digital communications, emails, text messages, chats, that kind of thing. But now we've got audio, now we've got video and meetings and webinars. But what essentially happened was, I think, the biggest shift, because we can start even as a casual user, someone at home, or me having built this AI team in a large company like Dialpad, and building AI, we found ways to not only leverage that and add it as functionality for our end customers, but also we use it internally too. And I think there's Jordan, there's so much to talk about here, but I think what's really important is calling out there's the AI that you can build for your customers as part of your product to sell to your customers, or AI that you can use in conjunction or that complements other vendor software that you're using to build just your business. But there's also AI that you can use for your team, AI that you can use internally, AI that you can use in the home, right? And I think there's a lot of really great stories, even with what the success that I've had, and with what Dialpad's had, of the AI that we built for our customers and the AI that we use to better improve the way that we're building things, the quality of what we're building, the speed and execution, how we basically scale it internally, and to help us scale our business.
So I want to maybe zoom out a little bit here and go thought leadership-y on this one. I kind of started off the show today talking about how much value that there is in just conversations, right? And it seems like everyone's rushing to the next data source or data set to improve AI implementation at their company. How much value is there in the conversations that we're having every single day? And maybe how much of it would you say is just being wasted, thrown away, and not leveraged?
Discarded, but there's a lot of things. We got to do this. We have to do this safely. But we are getting so much better about leveraging that data, and especially with voice. And let me just go off a little bit of a tangent too, because that was part of my original pitch, that pitch of, hey, here's the idea, is where we want to take the last offline data set and bring it online. And there's a lot now that we kind of bucket this to bringing it online. We want to add structure to it. We want to extract the meaningful information and the insights. And that was kind of the pitch of starting Talk IQ. And that carries through even still to today, because we want to leverage the important parts of those kinds of conversations, whether it's you're talking to another business, you're talking to another customer, or you're talking, there's every use case that kind of involves the way that humans communicate. And I think there's still a massive opportunity in that, because look at the lead up for the last 2-3 years, where there's a lot of training for massive machine learning models being built on things that we're able to get for free on the internet, but it only has so many modalities, or it's really only digital form. And now we're starting to find that there's more data sources. There's the speech. There's the things that are happening even in private scenarios, right? So there's like that kind of that last data frontier has just been like trying to get access to that information, but do so securely. So I think that's something that is really part of, I'd love to say, hey, our differentiation with Dialpad is we're helping not only build the communications to better communicate, but we're also giving safe and secure access for our customers to tap into all of the ways that they communicate with their customers, and be able to build off of that, bring the structure in, train off of. And of course, we go through all the security. We have so many different steps and protections and compliance to be able to do this. But it does help, because what happens is you start to see a lot of patterns emerge. And not to claim I'm a linguist by any means, but I think this really gets the linguists excited in the room, in the sense that they're and especially in a business use case, we're saying a lot of the same things. And can I just go off on a tangent just with like a really good use case that
Please.
we see
Yeah,
all
let's
the
hear it.
time, even at Dialpad. So we like to sell our contact center part of our solution, and we sell to teams that support or use Dialpad to support their product. So they've got a pool of agents that are able to respond to their customers as they're calling in. And there is such a high level of common questions, basically asking the same question with a few words that are different. And then that right there is so right for not only being able to extract that, what was this question about? What was the answer? But also automation. So there's so many of these use cases, these common use cases that are like, that's where I see this massive acceleration, and especially in the business use case. And then you start to think of even outside of that, how am I using that internally for our business? How am I using that potentially at home? There's a lot of the smart home movement, et cetera. So, but just like a lot of those, the common questions, the common answers, the common automations that you could potentially build. So that's why it's just so exciting, because we've kind of proven that there is a lot of that commonality, and we've been able to build up a lot on the accuracy, the speed, the real time, the real value, like the real ROI ultimately when it comes down to it for our customers.
So yeah, you gave some great examples there, right? And I think that there's a lot of direct lines that can be drawn, right, between analyzing conversations and customer service, sales, right, and seeing certain phrases, certain words maybe push things in a different direction, right? Very direct line between conversations and revenue. But I'll ask you this, maybe outside of using a certain product or service from Dialpad, how or maybe why should the average business leader out there pay attention to conversations, pay attention to meetings, pay attention to phone calls, or at least start thinking about capturing that and turning it into knowledge? Why is it worthwhile, or is it worthwhile?
Oh, I definitely think it's worthwhile. I mean, even just me personally, what did I miss in that meeting? I take notes all the time, but I've started using other tools to help me take notes, and I could list off a great number of startups and even open source and totally free software to help you do that. And it has helped. I've seen the immediate effect. I can go back to that information. I've built a gym, graph of knowledge. I've got chatbots for myself. It's painfully obvious how much it's helped. And if you could think about that, even if you're able to kind of have that breakthrough on a personal level, trying these tools and doing so safely, right? And not just absolutely trusting whatever you might get from the biggest large reasoning model out there, but also just being, finding where it works and where it doesn't work is so much easier to do right now for AI. So I think that's the big accelerator, right? Is that people are finding, whether they're working for a company and they're forced to use AI, no, they're finding ways that it's actually helping them in whether it be their personal life, or they're hearing about a friend that might have tried this, or they're listening to your podcast, Jordan, and they go, so this person mentioned something that sounded really, I might try that out. And what we're basically building on right now is this massive kind of show and tell. And there's obviously the socials are picking this up. We have our own internal show and tell for, hey, we have engineers, we have customer support, we've got all these different business units that are excited to be continuing to try AI, right? Not just try it and it doesn't work and then they give up on it, but more they try it, they take notes, and then they'll find time to try it again for maybe the same use case or another use case and see, now it works. And so the show and tell is showing what works, what doesn't, and we're getting much better, even internally at Dialpad, at being able to know, hey, where what's a higher level of accuracy and a high level of trust for doing these certain things versus others that we can, keep trying on. And so now it's this feedback loop internally, even where we're all kind of challenging each other. How can we use this better? How can we use this more intelligently to build a better product, to have a better customer experience? And then what also is kind of the neat part about this is it's almost like a hackathon for the engineers in the room, or the folks that have worked at companies that have done this, where some of the best features, some of the best tools, and sometimes even the best like spin-off companies have come out of hackathon projects, where you get to sit back and say, I really want to have time to solve this problem. And now AI can help with that. And we've had, I could talk about our hackathon, and we have a hackathon we do internally for purely product facing. Now we have a hackathon just for for AI specific. And it's been a huge accelerator for us, not only just in productivity, but it also potential features that we've been adding to the product. So that my whole point with this is like, I see this, and yeah, I'm fully entrenched in the middle of the AI world, but you know, I'm also seeing, and I'm looking, and I'm hungry to see where people are. Are they pushing back? Are they skeptical? What are they skeptical about? Where have they seen it not work? Right. And I think we all are growing to this how we can use this. Right. Is it a calculator or is it something more? And so it's becoming far more real. That's what's so exciting.
Mm. So you teased something out there. You said some of the tools that you're using, some startups, some open source things. So I want to follow up on that, but just have to take a quick little break here for a word from our partners first.
It's a problem I hear all the time. The gap between the AI champions and everyone else in your organization is sizable. You might have half a team that wants to fine-tune models by hand, and the other half doesn't know what an API is. How do you get them working together on AI that moves the needle without creating a security nightmare? That's where Area really shines. They built one platform with 3 ways to work. Your developers can go full pro code and build custom agents with Python. Your business analysts can use the low-code tools, or your domain experts who've never coded, they can use the drag and drop no-code builder. Everyone's building in the same secure governed environment. No shadow IT, no security gaps, and because they're model agnostic, you're not locked into one vendor's ecosystem with Area. You can even A/B test different agents against each other, try different models, and when you're ready, deploy to production on the same platform. Your AI strategy should unite your team, not divide them. Check out Area in today's show notes or on our website for a free trial. Go to airia.com. Get rid of the AI gap and move forward with a more resilient AI ecosystem.
All right, Jim. So walk us through, you teased us there a little bit. And I love, especially people who are chief AI officers who have been in AI, a long time, way before the chat GPT moment. What are some of those tools or techniques that you're even using personally, to maybe leverage more value from your conversations?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? It's my favorite, and this is just more on a personal level. Like, what do I do at home to grow, and how am I leveraging this, and how do I get more access? I really want to see what's kind of under the hood, right? It's almost like I want to get a certain type of car that I can work on, as opposed to something that's just gonna, I don't need a flying car. But when it comes down to it, I want to bring models in-house. I want to get models on hardware in my house. I want to work with those. I want to try and tune those, fine tune. There's so much that you can do, but having it run essentially locally, and but you're always having enough compute. I mean, there's a huge investment that it takes. It's not going to just run on your cell phone and be even remotely as accurate as anything you might get as the top foundational model providers out there right now, because those models don't fit on this type of compute. I'm pointing down here because my phone is right there. So it's like, what's that balance? And this all kind of comes back to my team has done so much work over the years. We've had basically peer-reviewed, published papers at academic conferences. And academic conferences have started to kind of open up to industry, companies that are making money and ROI and everything, actually starting to contribute back in this academic world. But what I love the fact that my team has been able to show, hey, you can take something and optimize it like a machine learning model and optimize it so much so you can get the scale, you can get the real ROI. Your cogs don't go, your costs don't go just absolutely out of control. And you have so much more control over all of that, as well as accuracy. And this all comes full circle to what I was saying a little bit earlier with, there's a lot of the same things that are being said in a lot of conversations. And it's the same thing even for the AI that I want to have running in my house kind of thing, where you can, is it fine tuning is a kind of a very popular but also very difficult process to basically start to optimize these models, because what you see in a lot of business context, and I think this is a really important walkaway, is that the amount of things that are said are the goalposts, like the the differences between what's said and what's not is very small compared to what a lot of the AI for general use, right? Like general use foundational models out there. They're trying to be as accurate as they can for every possible use case, every single language, every single voice, modality, as some like to call it. So you with that being able to shorten the things, increasing the accuracy for the amount of things that are said, or the things that you want to try and extract from conversations, gives you so much of an advantage from an accuracy standpoint and everything else. So that's the stuff I love doing, is how are we optimizing this? And then what's the next phase of that? Where are the other advancements? How do all these things tie together? So yeah, like home automation is a little bit of, okay, it's terrifyingly fun, I will admit, but it's like I like to do it and on my own. But I know there's so many other tools, services, tie-ins, integrations. But it's like finding those opportunities for where I wouldn't immediately think like an LLM might help me. I'm starting to find that there are opportunities where that could help.
One thing that, and I love the use case of, talking about, even like personal models, right? And I'm big on the small language models of the future, and how good those will be for voice and just actually powerful edge dictation, right? But one thing I'm always still doing is using AI to know a little bit more of the unknown, right? Kind of the Johari's window type exploration, right? Obviously, I have way too much content that I've captured, conversations, voice, right? And being able to connect dots that I maybe didn't know I should be connecting, right? And understanding and maybe tying together some sentiment that could improve my podcast, or could improve, trainings that I do, or something like that. I'm wondering, is there maybe a use case on the sentiment side that you found that maybe you're like, hey, once we looked at all of these calls, all of these conversations, maybe we're able to connect some dots and increase revenue or save time after the fact that we didn't know?
Oh, it's a good lead up. This is great. Okay, it's one of my favorite features, because it's not so much of we've created a whole new field of science, but more, this is an immediately obvious use case. We have an AI CSAT. We're generating a customer satisfaction score on every single call. And it's at face value is just it's a percentage. Was this something good or was this something bad? All of us on this call have, hey, would you like to stay on 2 minutes and enter the survey? And you have to press a 1 through 4, 1 through 5 to, and it's horribly biased in the sense that the only people that are going to stay on are, I'm really mad. That's a very negative score. So here we are building this, we can gauge the sentiment in so many different ways. We can add more context to that, whether it's prior conversations, other channels that we're communicating with that customer, other inputs, right? And it's a kind of a classifier type of problem. And large language models, small language models, massive reasoning, MOE models can all do classification very, very well. But it's that kind of input that you don't just, hey, I run against a model I got, it has a low sentiment, and then I shuffle that off. No, it's yet another input into something. Like if you're saying, hey, I want to use the biggest and the best that I can to give me other insights that I might not have known about too. But if you have things like a sentiment that you can add to maybe the transcript from a podcast to link to, say you find another person, I want to talk to them, right? And getting all of that context, that's still extra information that you can bring in, extra context that you can add to another model. And I use everything is basically my point. Not just, hey, bring it in-house like I was talking about, and use your models that you're trying to run on your cell phone or in-house, but try everything. The idea that I think has been kind of marketed as deep research is, I'm going to admit, that's amazingly powerful. I use it. I'd say most of the business functions and go-to-market that I've seen successfully, that almost feels like table stakes for a lot of the go-to-market teams. Anybody who's trying to sell anything uses a deep research-like feature. And I'm going to admit it's absolutely amazingly powerful. But you also have to think about the limitations of it. Where is it getting all of its information from? It doesn't know everything. So the more that you can add to it based off of prior conversations, other inputs, that's kind of I think the breakthrough as users, right? As you trying to find, new content for your podcast or us as, hey, what's a new potential revenue stream we haven't even thought of, or a way to kind of, sell this specific feature to an end customer because they've talked about it in another context. That's massive. You're starting to connect all those dots. So I use everything you can, try it out. But okay, here's what I want to come back to, because we're going off on this, Jim, what do you recommend? Here's one thing that has persisted through as long as I've been in this, going back to kind of your earlier question of, Jim, you've been doing this for a long time. The one thing that persists ultimately is, how are we evaluating? How are we not just sending a prompt to an LLM and getting a completion and saying, that looks great. What are we doing to build up the trust, right? And it's obviously, it's been improving the accuracy. So much about it screams we should trust this. But if you're a builder and a practitioner of AI like we are, like I am, or if you're a company who's using a vendor who's promising all of this amazing agentic functionality, I would still implore everybody to find a way to evaluate it, to test it, and not just one quick, refer to it as smoke test, like is it smoking or is it not kind of thing, but more start to build up those test cases, right? Like Jordan, I assume you're building up this massive treasure trove of all this structured data from all of your prior podcasts and all of your research, right? And how are you gonna, if you're asking an LLM or a reasoning model to do something, you do it, you pay for that completion back, you save that. And then there are ways that you can build a test on top of that. And you can use other LLMs to test other LLMs and start to build up this whole network. So just coming back to this, if you're just starting in using AI, if you're already deeply entrenched and have 12 different vendors that all kind of do it really, really, really well, invest in a way to just evaluate it, because there's a lot of things. It's getting better. And in some cases, it's changing. It might get better or it might get worse. I can't give any promises. But the fact is that it changes. And I'd say, just looking back even over the last 3 years, it's definitely changed for the better. It's definitely improving in a lot of accuracy, and all the players are it's amazing. But just keep updating those tests, those evaluations. And I could spend another hour talking about the ones that, that we've used and I like, some that are really hard to constantly have to maintain, but just find a way to store and to allow you to test that over and over again, so that it doesn't become, too much work to do that. So that's, yeah. All right. Sorry. I could keep going on this whole spin, but.
No, I mean, you bring up some great points, and I love even, the concept, and I think it's a good practice of, understanding evaluations and how you evaluate and why, and, what role the human plays in augmenting, with a certain LLM in that evaluation process, obviously extremely important as well. So, Jim, we've covered a lot in today's conversation, but, as we wrap up, I'm not going to ask you to predict the future, right? But I will ask you this, right? Because we're already starting to get into this, year-end mode, and, 2026 is right around the corner. Aside from using Dialpad, right? But aside from that, how should business leaders be looking at the relationship between meetings, conversations, and using AI to tie it to revenue? What is your most important takeaway? Or, if you were to advise someone, hey, in 2026, you need to be doing this, what is that thing?
Oh, everybody's just going to say, he's going to say agentic. Yeah, I'm going to say that, but I'm going to say there's a couple of things. And it's not, it would be also kind of exercising not caution and not trying to put fear, but responsible automation, right? And it's, what are those use cases that you are confident you can automate? Because right now, and even going back to doing this AI thing for a long time, and I've been trying to sell AI dream and trying to make it a reality, and it's definitely, it's a lot more real now. But before, it was all about time savings and how can we more efficiently close the gaps, the knowledge gaps, those kinds of things. But right now, there's this huge leap into that full-blown automation, because that's how you can kind of prove this is how you save money. But there still is there's no guidance on how does it actually work and work 100%. So I think it kind of comes back to the evaluations and everything like that. But coming in as a business and to say, hey, I'm going to get ready for 2026. I'm going to spend some time and some money not just diving into a solution just yet, but figuring out what can I automate and what should we not? What protections do you need to put in place? And I'm not here to, fear monger or anything, but those are the kinds of things that if you jump in and this works amazing, it is an edge case, just a random, if this one thing happened, is that going to cause harm in some way, shape, or form? And there's so many things that I could, advise on this. And this is part of my talk track for years, but I use the concept of red teaming, and not going back to like Cold War-esque, but just think about it. If you're testing something, and even if you're testing someone home or a new model you got on your phone or the new massive, video generation thing, try to break it. Mm-hmm. And I've always loved that. And red teaming is basically like adversarial testing. Try and find how it doesn't work, because if you find where it doesn't work, you're also going to find where it does work. And so it's a win-win situation. And so that part of this is, if you're going to go into 2026, is figure out what it is that you can automate safely, and then what are those integrations? Because the AI, I think there's the investments there, the momentum is there, but it's also the integrations. Are the point of sale systems going to be able to keep up? Are that you've been using and invested in, and there's no, you're basically, this is what you have to use. If you have a proprietary system, what changes need to be made? Are your vendors going to be, AI first or AI native at some point in time, right? It's like, make sure that all the scaffolding is built up. The foundation is strong for being able to say, we're going to do AI and we're going to do it right.
Jim just hit us with the quadfecta ending. Some of my favorite things: evals, breaking things, responsible automation, and integrations. Love it. So thank you, Jim, so much for taking time out of your day to join the Everyday AI Show. We really appreciate your time and insights.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. That was fun.
All right. Hey, if you missed anything, don't worry. We're going to be recapping it all in today's newsletter. So if you haven't already, go to youreverydayai.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you back later for more